you didn't know, this is One Mic Night, New York City's best and favorite open mic night jam. All right. Enjoy the music. Tonight I'm bringing you some of the best artists in New York City, right here in Brooklyn. I've got some comedians coming through, some independent artists, so sit back, enjoy. My house band is here every week, holding you down. Please give a warm round of applause for Ruckus. What we do here at One Mic Night is we give the artist a feature. It's like a mini showcase, so you get a taste of what they're about. And hopefully you'll support indie artists around the world. Give it up for the indie artists in the house, please.
My name's Jana, and we had a really great time tonight. We came to check out our friend's band, but we enjoyed every other performance too. Had a really great comedian and some really great bands, and it was a really nice way to unwind.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to One Mic Night, the podcast that brings you stories of artists and people on their journey, helping to guide, answer questions, and motivate you in life and the business. My name is Marco Luis, and I want to thank you guys all for joining me for another episode. We're in season 5, 18 years of One Mic Night. Can you believe it? So thank you, everybody who's been sticking around all this time, all the people who've been supporting me. And before we get into it, make sure you like our episodes, make sure you share our episodes. And if I'm bringing you some good content and helping to inspire you in any way, there are ways to support the podcast, because as you know, I do this all by myself, so I could use a little support, a little help along the way. If you're watching on Facebook, make sure you click some of those stars and help us out. Otherwise, there are ways down in the notes of the episode where you can donate to the podcast and One Mic Night and help me support other indie artists. So I thank you very much. Today, I'm really excited because my guest is the artistic director of a theater. And as you guys all know, as an actor, I'm really excited when I talk to filmmakers, actors, and people in that line of work. So please welcome Janet Mitchell. She is the artistic director of AGM Theater Company right here in New York. Welcome to One Mic Night.
Thank you, Marcus, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for spending some time with us. I'm really excited to talk to you.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Listen, I have questions.
Okay.
The first question is,
ready?
You ready?
I'm ready.
The first question is, who is Janet Mitchell?
Janet Mitchell is, I'm a producer, I'm a director, I'm a playwright, I'm an actor on occasion, and I've been doing this. I've worked in the theater since I was 14 years old. I started out at the Harlem Y Little Theater, which of course is in Harlem. And I read a newspaper article that they had a play going. And I believe the play was Black Girl. And I showed it to my parents. I said, I really would like to do this. And they said, okay, because, we lived in Harlem. And I went to the little Y, to the Harlem Theater, the little theater in Harlem. They call it the Little Theater at the Y. Mm-hmm. And so I told the director, I'd like to be in the play. And he said, well, how old are you? And I said, 14. He said, well, your parents know you're here? I said, yes. And he says, well, I don't have a part for you in this particular production because it's all cast. Well, we need a prop person. You think you could handle that? And of course, at the time, I didn't know what that was. So I said, yes, I can do that. And needless to say, I was awful. But they kept working with me. And the next play was Anna LaCosta. And he cast me in that, and I played Katie, the sister-in-law. And from there, I was just embraced and nurtured by this wonderful group of actors they were all much older than I was, because I was still a kid. And the deal I had with my parents was if you do your homework, you can go to the theater at night.
Hmm.
And that was the deal with them. And I did my homework. But it was really an exciting time because theater was very different from how it is now. When I started back in the early 70s, it was you worked for a particular company, and the
Hmm.
company was the Harlem YMCA Little Theater.
So
So you
meaning like it was a community theater and you stay with that company and did your work
exactly.
there. Oh, I love that. I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which meant that it was an ensemble group of actors.
Hmm.
You were not cast in every play, so you had to learn a little bit about everything. You had to know how to work lights. You had to know how to dress the set. You had to know how to sit at the box office. But the theater at that time was ran by Franklin Thomas, who was part of the American Negro Theater.
Mm.
He not only taught me the acting techniques and all of those great things, but I also learned the business of theater.
I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it because it's a community theater and you're part of a community. You're part of an
Yeah,
ensemble. So you have to know everything, the working parts from the business part you learn, and then you create the friendships that are
yes,
there.
yes,
That's the way
yes,
it should be. That really
yes,
is the way it
yes,
should be, especially when you're starting out,
yes,
because it creates a community and the environment where you feel comfortable because you know the people and you can do the work. You roll up your sleeves and you do the work,
exactly,
right?
exactly. And this group of actors were my mentors. And what was so amazing and astonishing about this particular period is the playwrights were there. They were part of the company. So I
Oh,
had an opportunity to meet them, to work with them, and to learn a little bit about playwriting as well.
I like that.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, who's the theater named after? How did the theater get its name?
AGM is named after my mother,
Okay.
Adrian Graham Mitchell, who was my strongest supporter. My mom not only would come to a play I was in or a play I was producing or directing, but she would be there at every performance. And she not only nurtured me, but also my friends who were actors. We were just one big family. And at the end of a lot of our productions, especially the last performance, we generally have food. And that was instituted by my mom because I was producing a play one time and it was the closing night of the play. And my mom said, "Well, what are you going to feed these people?" And I'm like, "Huh?" She said, "No, I'm going to buy us chicken wings." And that's the spirit. So, I know that she's watching over me doing this process of putting together AGM Theater Company and making this her legacy is so very important to me.
I love that. I love that. So I don't even know where to start because you hit so many points with me. So your parents were your biggest supporters. You have a very
Absolutely.
unique experience because growing up in New York City, which is the city where most people want to be in, and you're surrounded by so much of the culture and so
Mhm.
much of Black culture because being in Harlem, you're in the epicenter of Black culture.
Yes.
So being able to take that and those experiences, plus having the support of your parents, your mother,
Mhm.
that's just like what everybody dreams of.
Yes. Yes.
Because especially at that time period where most parents want you to be a professional, they want you to go in a professional field of
Mhm.
study, but you get a chance to study the arts and be an artist and have the support of
Absolutely.
your parents. How do you feel looking back on that? How do you feel now?
I've been so enormously blessed, and my greatest blessings have been my parents. my mother and my father. When I was 19, my interest in theater, actually, I'm going to take you back just a
Hmm.
second a bit, was that my father worked in the garment district. And he would have a lot of people in the arts, especially Black people, like Douglas Turner Ward, Arthur Mitchell. They would come down to the garment district looking for certain fabrics. And he worked at a house, quote unquote, which um, held a lot of the type of fabrics that they were looking for.
Hmm.
And they didn't always have the money because chiffon was very expensive. And my father always got it for them. Their way of thanking him was to give him tickets. So they gave Douglas Turner Ward gave my dad some tickets for a play that was happening at the Negro Ensemble Company down when they were on St. Mark Street.
Hmm.
And that was the first time I ever saw a play. And
Wow.
so that ignited my interest in theater. And many years after that, when I told my parents that I wanted to produce a short film, and they were like, okay. And my father took me down to 34th Street where they had that camera place with the equipment. And he bought all of the equipment for me. Not only did he buy all of the equipment, but he worked on the tech team with us.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
That's huge. That's pretty huge.
I I owe everything to my parents.
Wow. So how did the theater company come about? Did your how what was the beginning of the theater company itself?
Well, I had been working for a number of different theater companies. One in particular theater company was the Hadley Players, where I served as the CEO. And I was a board member, treasurer, business manager. So that gave me an opportunity to really meet a lot of talented people, a lot of actors, set designers, you name it. You know, you met the gamut of people. And
Mm.
there I formed so many wonderful friendships. So for a couple of years, after I decided that I wanted to do something different, I started producing on my own for a bit. And then I started working with one of my friends from the Hadley Players, Karan Bridges. And we said, why not do this company? I said, yeah. And, we just started building it brick by brick. And in 2017, we formed AGM Theater Company.
I love that. Can you walk us through? I want to give people like a little bit of the business perspective of it all. Walk us through a little bit of how it actually formed. Like
Mhm.
what steps do you have to go through to make a company, make a theater company?
Well, first thing you have to decide if you're going to be a 503, a 503, a 50,
50,
503, you
5013.
5013. And once you decide that that's the way that you want to go, then you have to file the paperwork. You have to be incorporated as a nonprofit. And once you're incorporated as a nonprofit, then you have to get what's called the IRS determination letter. And that gives you the status to be a nonprofit, to raise funds, to be tax exempt. And that's the next step. And then, but even before you get to those steps, you have to write your charter. You have to write your bill of particulars, you know, laying out the groundwork for the company. Who's going to be the president? Who's going to be the treasurer? Who's going to be the secretary? What is your succession plan? How are you going to resolve disputes? And then you start to put together your board. and you decide how many members you're going to have on the board.
Mm-hmm. How do you
So
how do people determine what's the best way to determine who should go on the board?
it depends on how big you want your board to be. Some companies may want a larger board. Some companies may want a smaller board. And then you'll decide how you want the board to function. You know, is function going to be the oversight of the theater, or is the main function going to be fundraising? So
Mm,
those are the things that you want to think about as you form a company.
right. Or a little bit of both, or who you can go to ask advice on business, or have an attorney on the board who can help you with the legal disputes, or
Yeah.
have, someone who maybe is another theater producer who can step in and say, listen, this is give you advice on producing or
Mm-hmm.
something along those lines, right?
Right, right.
Mhm.
And you want to get people who have experience in the areas that you might need some assistance with.
Right.
So, or they have the contacts that you need in order to bring in the funding that you need. Because it's very, very expensive to run a theater company in a city like New York.
Absolutely. Absolutely is. And a lot, being in a big city like this, relationships is the key thing. It's who you know a lot of times in order to get stuff done,
Mhm.
right?
One of the things about AGM and about myself as a producer is that I'm very, very big on how I treat people
Mm,
and how we always keep our associations professional, warm, friendly, supportive, and that we're very we're very determined. And one of the things that has always been my cornerstone, even as I produced as a teenager, was that I always pay people, and I always pay people on time. And that has always been very, very important to me.
I can agree with you more because you don't want a reputation of not being paying people and paying
Mhm.
people on time because word
Mhm.
gets around and no one wants to
That's
work with you
right.
any longer.
That's
That's in
right.
any profession, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very important.
Yeah. Yeah.
When
And
did
over
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And over the years, we, an awesome group of actors, directors, musicians, and, and just even in addition to the new people who I met over the last couple of years, my Hadley player friends who I've known for 40 years, it's a combination of artists that we work with.
I like that. I was going to say, how do you keep it fresh? How do you keep, the vitality there? We have the same people, but how do you keep it fresh? And I think you just said a little bit, bring in some new people and
Well, we bring in new
mhm,
people. June, we do a program for where we celebrate African American men. And for a project like that, I look for African American playwrights. I look for things that honor and support African American males. I bring in a male director. And this year, we did two of Chris Eli Black's plays. He is a young guy, he's a young man, and he's just making all kind of great moves. Now he's out in California working with what's that guy's name? The rapper who does Ghost.
oh,
Chris,
50 Cent. Yeah, 50.
yes, yes. So he's one of the writers on one of their new shows now.
That's great.
So we're always bringing in new writers. Um, our next production is going to be one by Jeanette Hill. It's called Saturdays, and it's about five African American women who actually it's four African American women who get together for lunch once a month, and everything on the surface is cool. They're living their best lives. But as that particular afternoon continues, you see where these women are struggling, but they're much too proud to sometimes break down the facade and say, hey, I'm dealing with something you guys have no idea. So we bring on new writers. We also have the Clarence and Adrian Mitchell playwright workshop, where we work with a playwright in developing their plays. We produce 3 months of readings for them, and support them in any way that they need. If they need actors, if they need the space, we provide the space. So it's all about, for me, bringing people along, bringing artists along who normally would not get, those sort of opportunities.
How do you reach out to the community? Because theater and arts are an important part of life. It's an important part of who we are. How do you get the community involved?
Well, number one, it goes back to the most important thing about a theater company is that you build it. When I first started, like, doing AGM, I would have like maybe 4 or 5 people in the audience, and most of them were my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look at now, we have like overflowing crowds, but
Wow.
it's building, it's show by show, it's putting out the word, it's the advertisement, it's the marketing, it's the people who I bring along with the company. I was doing a reading about 4 years ago down in the basement, because where we do a lot of our shows is the basement where I live,
Mm-hmm.
and in Harlem, and we make it into a theater. And that night I didn't have any help. I was at the door, I was setting up chairs, I was breaking down the chairs, and this young woman came up to me and she says, I want to help you. And I'm like, yeah, okay, thank you. I said, let me have your number and I'll call you. And she says, no, don't worry. She says, I'll contact you. And of course, the next day, her name is Cynthia Kidd, and she's our production manager. And she has been with us forever. She's like my other right hand.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do you have any collaborations with, as we talked about before, Harlem is the epicenter of Black culture. Do you have any collaborations with people like the Apollo? Have they helped you, or is there any way that they can help you, or Harlem Stage or the Schomburg or any of those big institutions that can reach out and help you?
Well, we're in conversations with some other venues in Harlem, and we're just waiting to hear back. The Victoria has a new theater there,
Mm-hmm.
and we're just, in negotiations with them to see if it's going to be accessible to community theater groups like mine, because we don't have a big budget.
Right.
We work on a shoestring. We do the best that we can, but funding for theater companies like AGM it continues to be challenging in spite of our record. And since 2017, we've done close to 30 productions, mostly readings, because to go into a theater to do a full length production, a full scale production, is going to cost you close to 30,000.
Right.
So, the getting the support to really do a production is an enormous challenge, but we keep writing the grants. We stay in the game, and that is the thing that I could say to up and coming theater companies. Stay in the game, stay out there, keep doing the work. Even if you have to do it on a smaller scale, just keep doing the work.
Absolutely. The work is important and you have to
The
be
work is
consistent.
important.
I want to tell you a little story. This has to do with me. So OneMicNite started 18 years ago. It started out as an open mic in a
Mm-hmm,
little restaurant in the West Village.
mm-hmm,
And I was a manager of this restaurant. And everybody who's watching this, you've heard this story before, but I was a manager in a restaurant and I wanted to bring in some business for the restaurant. So I said, let me call this woman who used to play guitar at this other restaurant that I worked at, bring her in, see if we can generate some business. Brought her in. She's playing the music on the guitar, kicked the door open. People start walking in. I was like, great. Next week, let's do the same thing. You invite a couple musicians. I'll invite some poets and some actors, and they'll do monologues. I'll bring my one mic, one microphone, and put it down, and let's see what happens. People just started coming in. Next thing you know, fast forward, Grammy Award winning artists start coming into this little spot. It was residential above the restaurant. This guy from a nightclub happened to come in. He's like, man, this is great. I can't believe this. Is out of where did you come from? What is this? I said, I don't know. It just happened. You ever need a spot? Just come over. I have a nightclub in the East Village. It's all yours. Okay, cool. That night, same night, the people that lived upstairs came down and they said, excuse me, we like your music, but it's Monday night. You got to go. We got to work in the morning.
mm-hmm,
So we got kicked
mm-hmm,
out. So I went outside. I called the guy. I was like, Christian, I'm not going to believe what happened. He's like, what? I said, we got kicked out. He said, come on over to my spot. Fast forward to OneMicNite in a huge nightclub turned into a huge phenomenon. So I had independent bands. I had the largest poetry night in New York City. I had the largest comedy night. I was doing it all by myself.
uh-huh.
This was right when YouTube started. So YouTube was in HQ. It wasn't even HD then. I had a camera on top of the bar. I would turn it on, run down, introduce a guest, run back, turn it off, then turn it on. So I could just upload straight into YouTube without editing.
Uh-huh.
I say all that to say I was consistent every Monday night for 15 years. Over the pandemic, I switched it into this virtual thing where I do the podcast, where I talk to people and I give the inspiring stories of the creatives who have something, who are giving to the community. So you and I both say this to say, be consistent, continue to do, continue to give.
That's the key.
Right? And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, yeah. Because during the pandemic, what we did, something I never thought I could do, we switched to a virtual platform.
Yes, let's talk about that. Tell us how you did that.
Well, it's interesting. Our first virtual fall election, 2020. It was in September of 2020, the big election. And I got to, in fact, the way we got the writers was we put out a call for writers to write about their thoughts about the upcoming election. And so we got a musician, we had writers, we had one guy from Europe who wrote in something. And we put together, I got an editor who became our tech person who I work with today, Michelle. We started doing these virtual shows, which were great because it expanded our audience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely did. Right.
Yeah.
And I know as an actor, from the acting point, it helped me out too. We didn't have to go anywhere. We had rehearsal, we had shows, there were virtual shows. I could tap into shows around the country. Broadway was doing shows. Everybody was doing shows. You just click, 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 and you could see they had virtual tours of museums. Yeah. All that stuff was accessible. It was the worst of times and the best of times at the same time for me.
Yes. We learned how to do things that we never thought. Like I used to have business meeting and grant write meetings, and my friend would have to come, who writes grants with me, would have to sleep in from the Bronx, and then I take her home at 1:00 in the morning. We don't have to do that anymore.
We don't have to do it, right?
And meetings and teams and all of those software that we have now. It's incredible.
Yep. It's difficult, for theater. For the time it was great, but in theater it's live. You want that live interaction. You want the immediate response of the people. When I'm doing an acting scene, you want to smell, you want to touch, you need that eye contact, the
Yeah,
visibility. But
yeah,
we did it. We
we
made it.
did.
And like you said, it allowed for so many other possibilities and opportunities to happen, making connections
Absolutely.
across the globe.
Absolutely. I
Hmm.
remember coming out of the pandemic, our first show we did at the Goddard Center on 91st and and Columbus. And it was just so different coming back to live theater, you know. But we had a chance to spotlight a new playwright that we've never worked with, Eureka Lewis, and that was just really phenomenal.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you ever have any big names grace the stage? I mean, how can we invite people to come up and do something in your space that would invigorate your space?
You know, everyone who works with me, I consider a star.
Okay. I
Um,
love that.
and in fact, I'm a playwright,
Hmm.
and I was developing a play, and we had Hope Clark, who's been on Broadway, a dancer. She's been in a couple of movies. So we've had people from time to time to come in, but and I'm sure that will continue to grow. But I like developing the next wave of stars.
The next generation. I
So
love it. And I say
yeah,
that, I don't say that disrespectfully. I say that in a way where,
hmm,
we need what you're doing is great. And sometimes we need somebody to step in and say, hey, take a look at this and what they're doing. And if
yeah,
they have a huge following of people, they'll say, yeah, let's go to this place. And
yeah,
that brings in a whole new fresh group of people. And
yeah.
I don't say that disrespectfully at all.
No, I didn't think so. Yeah,
What do you see the wave of next theater as? Is there a new wave that's coming? Is there a new generation that's bringing something different? Or
absolutely. I think you will continue to see theater evolve. One of the things that I am big on, you know, I love directing, but I'm always looking to get new directors in. Um, I'm always looking for new material, and that's something that's been changing for us, getting a lot of different scripts in. You know, people are coming to us, you know, hey, can you have a reading of our work? So that you know, it's just bringing in new faces, a respect for the standard bearers of the business in terms
Mhm.
of doing some of their work. So it's a combination of old and new. And one of the programs we do is an interview show. I do an interview show also called Inspire, where we have an entertain a person in the community. It's usually actors who've had long careers. We've had Arthur French Jr. We've had Hope Clark. We've had, you know, a number of different artists, R&B artists come in and interview them about their journey in the
Yes,
arts and in
right.
life. And so what I'm looking to do in the upcoming season is to have an older artist or an artist who's been in the business and someone who's upcoming. So
Mm,
have those two perspectives
I like that. At the same time,
at the same time.
yeah, that would be great. You could
Yeah,
have maybe, yeah, I don't know, maybe have them interview each other on
yeah,
stage and let the dialogue happen so people could hear.
yes.
Listen, if you need a moderator, right here, I would
I'll
love to help you.
Yes, yes, yes.
I would
And
love
in
to.
fact, with our shows at the each really, not just the 3 day show,
Mhm.
but we always have what we call a talk back, where we interview the playwright, the director, the actors, and we give our audience an opportunity to chime in, to ask questions about the process. You know, how did you pick this play? What was your perspective? of directing this play. So we do that after every production.
That's beautiful. And I guess that goes back to what I was saying about the education of it all too, because it educates the people who are there, about the play, about playwriting, and they get to have a chance to ask questions about the whole, whatever it takes, the business, anything about it.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you have coming up? You mentioned a couple of things coming up. Do you have a schedule that you're going by, or?
Yes.
What's the process?
Well, we're going to be kind of busy. We're in November.
Busy's good. Busy is definitely good.
The November 15th, 16th, and 17th, we're having a play reading of Jeanette's Hill play called The Saturdays. That's going to be, again, the 15th, 16th, and 17th. In December, on December 15th, we do our annual holiday show. And this year we're doing a piece called The Christmas Blessing by Laura Bowman. And it's a play about family who lives in Harlem. They've been struggling, and the dad hits the lotto. And they end up moving to the suburbs out of the tenement that they've lived in forever. And it's just how their lives change, not necessarily for the best. It's keeping, what Christmas and the holidays are really about.
I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Do you have a schedule somewhere on the website, or how do we find out more about this?
We'll be posting it as within the next couple of days. The schedule and also the upcoming play, which of course is the Saturdays. So we will, start to advertise and to put out the feelers that, save the date. And, to your listeners, we're always looking for new material. So please, drop us a line at AGM Theater Company at gmail.com. And say hello or visit our website and see what we're doing.
And where are you located? Where's the space located?
Well, our main space is called the New Basement of Dreams.
Okay.
It's on 116th and Lenox Avenue. That's where we do most of our smaller shows. The readings, the rehearsals are there. And we move out to other spaces when we have larger productions, like where we're doing 3-day production. So where we want to do the lights and a more extensive sound design, we'll go out to a theater like that.
I love that. Okay. So let everybody know how they can get in touch with you if you have a social media, and
yes,
should we just go to the website and just
go to the
email?
website, and we're on Facebook. Thanks to Cynthia, our production manager. She, it's so funny. When I first started, I had like maybe 10 people on Facebook. She says, Jan, we gotta fix this. And she took it over, and now it's exploded. So we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. You can go to our YouTube channel, AGM Theater Company YouTube channel, and see some of our virtual shows. And come down and see us. Just check the website for what's coming up next.
There you go. You heard it here first. Janet Mitchell, Artistic Director of AGM Theater Company. Hit her up on the Gmail and then find all the information on the website. You can reach out to her on social media. Thank you for spending some time with us here at OneMicNite. This time is the most valuable thing we have, so thank you for that.
It is
Please come back anytime. I'm looking forward to it. I'll definitely come by there and check out the shows and hopefully be a part of 1 or 2 of them too. So we'll talk after this. And also,
I'm looking at you and I'm thinking of what I have coming up.
Absolutely. And thank you to our mutual friend who introduced us, Brockton Pierce.
Yes.
So a big thank you to him. And we will make sure we get in touch with you and follow up. So everyone, please, at the sound of my voice, make sure you reach out to AGM Theater Company. The information will be in the notes. Make sure you like and share this episode and find ways to support that theater company. And I will be there, hopefully working myself. So make sure you support us now at the theater company. There you go. You can always slide into my DMs at Marcos Luis, MarcosLuis. The show is called OneMicNite, OneMicNite. Thank you. Make sure you like the episodes and go find this social media at AGM Theater Company. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.